We cast aspersions upon politicians earlier and demanding that they talk the talk, they need to walk the walk. So our final speaker today is a politician who very much does do that. So I'll hand over now to Nadia Whittome, who is the youngest MP in the House of Commons, a great supporter of all the causes we hold dear, and big hope for the future. Nadia.
Thank you everyone for being here. I'd like to start by expressing my full solidarity with Osime Brown, his family and his friends, and everyone who is fighting and leading the campaign to defend him. Osime's story moved me deeply. He arrived here in the UK when he was just 4 years old. He grew up here as a severely autistic black man suffering under Tory austerity. He was failed by our social care system and by our education system, and like many in his situation, he ended up in prison, where he suffered racist abuse. And soon he could be deported to a country that he has no memory of and no links to. To me, it's absolutely clear Osime is part of British society just as much as me or you or anyone in the building that I work in. It was the UK that failed him, as it fails many thousands of black men and disabled people whose lives are seen as expendable. But Osime's life matters. His life matters. We can't let him become just another victim or another statistic of a cruel, dehumanising border regime. We can't let a young life be sacrificed to boost the Home Office's deportation statistics. Let me say one thing. When the government attacks immigrants and minorities, our friends, our colleagues, our family members and our neighbours, it's never in the interests of working class people. It's to distract us from its own failures or pin the blame on someone else, someone who did nothing to create the problems that we're experiencing in society. The Home Secretary believes that there's an immigration crisis in this country. And in a sense, she's right. There is an immigration crisis. The crisis is that recently, in one of the wealthiest economies in the world, a young mum seeking asylum starved to death. She starved to death. She was dying in poverty. It's a crisis of desperate people who are dying trying to reach our shores, or who are locked up in detention centres. People like Osime who have no release dates, no deportation dates, who are languishing in detention centres, not knowing what the future brings for them. And it's a crisis that we are still deporting people, sometimes to their deaths, very often to their deaths in fact. People who arrived in the UK when they were children, when they were babies. It's been more than 2 years since the Windrush scandal, and I'm asking, what lessons have we learned? Apologies are meaningless. They're meaningless if they're not followed by action. How many people have to die? How many people like Abdel Fattah Hamdallah have to die before the Home Secretary implements those safe and legal routes that are so necessary? And how many families like Osime's have to be torn apart before something changes? People like Osime can't wait any longer. We need justice. We need to end the horrific institutional racism that runs across our immigration, education and criminal justice systems. Black Lives Matter can't just be a slogan, it has to be a reality. Osime Brown is one of us, and he is here to stay. Let's never stop fighting for him and for the many others in his situation. Solidarity.